Hello, my name's Judy Kay and I'd like to talk to you today about marriage. I'm not an expert on marriage. I've actually been married 3 times. I was married once to my childhood sweetheart. We'd been going out since I was 14 years old and we got married at 18. And sadly, that ended 3 years later and it was my doing and I'm not at all proud of that. I then married my boss at the age of 28 and we were married for 27 years. He died of cancer and I was a widow for 5 years, and then I married Phil, who is my husband at the moment, and we're happily married together. So let me talk to you about some of the things that I've learned over the years. Of course, I've known many friends who are married. I've seen some friends split up. I've seen some friends stay together. I've seen things that seem to be healthy and I've seen relationships that seemed to be unhealthy, perhaps codependent, or where people just put up with each other and decided to stay together, but it was really unpleasant and neither of them had a fulfilling and joyful relationship. So I'd like to talk about communication firstly. And I long for the time when I can communicate freely, my husband can communicate freely. We can say what's on our mind, say what's on our heart kindly, but we can say it freely. And no one has to walk on eggshells, worried about what they might say, worried about offending somebody, but there's free communication and it's a wonderful thing. I'm sure you'd like that too. So my suggestions are that if you have a difficult topic to talk about, something that you want to discuss and you haven't been able to so far, every time you raise it, it just doesn't work and there's some pushback, then try to set up a time when you can talk together and have a set amount of time that's free from interruption, where you're both concentrating, both caring for one another, and your desire is to communicate well, and your desire is to hear the other person, your desire is to work out what's best together. My suggestion is that you set up a time for that. You set up a time to communicate. I used to think I knew the best time. I used to think perhaps on a long walk or a long drive, those times were good to start a conversation. And I found that my husband didn't think that at all. In fact, sometimes he felt ambushed. On a long walk, he really just relished the peace. He wanted to enjoy just being with me, but not talking about anything challenging. And on a long drive, he was concentrating on driving. And so that wasn't a good time for him. So my recommendation is to set up a time, and you could say something like, darling, let's set up a time when we can talk together. How about on the weekend, perhaps in the afternoon, we could perhaps have an hour and a half together and we could discuss, just talk together and hear from one another. And if there's a particular topic that you want to address, then it's worth setting that up in the beginning. So you might want to travel and your husband might want to stay home and do up the house, for example. So you would set that up right from the start and say, look, when we meet, I'd really love to just talk about whether there might be any opportunity for travel, just to really hear your heart on what you'd like to do. And I'd love the opportunity to express to you my thoughts. When you talk to your husband, my tip is avoid certain times. So don't ever talk to your husband when he's hungry, when he's tired, or when he's worried. And even to set up that appointment, that time when you're going to talk together, avoid those times as well. Even to say, let's choose a time to talk. So maybe after breakfast on a Saturday might be a good time to say, darling, could we have this discussion? And these are the things that I'd like to talk about. So I hope that works well for you. And in my next vlog, I will give some further tips about how that could all go. Thank you for watching. Bye.